Interurban Era here with a guide to the best small switchers in HO scale that I happen to have in my layout room. It's this ALCO H8660. This is produced by Atlas, and they've done a couple of runs of these, and they usually go for between $100 and $200, depending on if it's DC or DCC with sound. The most recent version has lock sound version 5, and sounds pretty great, and also could sound even better with some scale sound system speakers. It's an exceptionally good model, and honestly better than the S1 through S4s that they offer, with finer detail in the cab, and very fine rivet detail throughout with separately applied grab irons and all the details that you would want. It represents a late 1930s prototype, the later version of the H8660, which was cleaned up by Raymond Loewy and Associates in the 30s. Features a much smoother long hood and a bunch of other small details versus the older one that looked kind of like a canned ham. This runs exceptionally well, and let's give it a little test run and see how many cars it can pull. Up next is a Repito 44-tonner. This is a Phase 1 version from before World War II. This runs exceptionally well and would be great on almost any layout. It has a full cab interior and many other features that make it an attractive switcher. It also has a very healthy sized capacitor to go over rough track and makes this an exceptional switcher to use for almost any service. You can get these for about $200 to $300 depending on if you want it in DC or DCC. I've seen them as low as, I think, the low hundreds as well. This is one of the nice ones that comes yellow and decorated with stripes. You can also get one in other colors, and it also comes in blue. And many other phases. I think Repito just today announced that they're doing additional phases. So you have Phase 1 through 4 covering the entire spectrum of production, and I'm sure they'll come out with more as time goes on. But I have to say, this is one of my favorite new switchers, and I highly recommend getting one yourself. Now, Repito, please make a 70-tonner. Up next, we've got a Walthers ML8 Plymouth switcher. This is one of the finest models of a small diesel locomotive ever to have been made. And Walthers did 2 runs of them before. I have no idea. Did they give up? Did they discontinue it? We don't know. But you'll be able to find one on eBay if you look hard enough or have a safe search. They did a wide variety of road names, both prototypical and generic, for you to enjoy. I went and sprung for this yellow and black one so I could use it for any industrial purpose. The underframe is fully cast metal, as are other components, which provide it with a pretty substantial pulling power. As you saw, it pulled about as much as that 44-tonner did. This also was one of the first models I ever got that had a capacitor on board, so it's able to glide over dirty track, things that you might need extra power to get across frogs and whatnot. I saw these on eBay regularly, price gouged as high as $200, but you can get them for about $100 if you look hard enough. But it will take time. But it is worth it. I highly recommend you get at least one of these to keep around for an industrial client on your layout. Say you think the Walthers ML8 is a little old-fashioned and you need something more modern. I would suggest this. This is a factory direct trains Trackmobile. This represents a prototype that was first manufactured in the 70s and is still a very common sight everywhere in the country where you just need to move a few cars. As you can see, this little guy was only capable of about 5 cars on this main line, which isn't too bad considering most of the real prototypes didn't move very long cuts of cars. It runs pretty well. You can get one in DC like this version, or you can get one with DCC installed. I highly recommend, if you have a DCC layout, to purchase the DCC installed one because it is nearly impossible to put a decoder inside the DC version. I particularly love the fully detailed cab, the fact that it's mostly die-cast metal, which makes it nice and heavy, and the motor quality in it's pretty good. The only thing you should take note of is that only one of the couplers is functional, and in fact the pilot coupler, as seen here on the front, is non-functional. You can mill out a pocket to make the front coupler operational, however it is also quite a bear to do. I question why factory direct trains did this, especially for a small industrial switcher, but nevertheless, it's the only operable version out there in HO scale at this time, and it is an exceptionally pretty model, great to pose for photographs, and very enjoyable to run for industrial switching. The prices for these vary wildly on eBay, and I've seen them price gouged nearly to $500 in some cases. I would only pay under $200 if you found one with DCC in it. Yeah, I think it's a valuable addition to any modern layout, and it's really fun to have around, isn't it? Well, this has been an Urban Era. I hope you enjoyed our little dive into various reliable and wonderful switchers that I happen to have in my workshop. Look forward to more content like this. Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you to all my patrons who make these videos possible.